Hello and good afternoon. Welcome into part number 9 of a Known Word. I'm your host, Ian Howe. On this program, I offer my latest response on the national misrepresentation of autism. This part 9 picks up where part number 8 left off. Part 8 and 9 are meant to tell a story, shed a little light on why I'm answering this call-in. Hello, my name's Ian Howe. I'm a resident of Hudson, New Hampshire. I was diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder in 2011. I am co-independent producer for Of a Known Word, a series about autism awareness and inclusion on public access in Hudson, New Hampshire. I come back in front of the camera this afternoon to respond to the continued misrepresentation and systematic attacks on the autism community, both nationally and here in New Hampshire. I continue to speak out because of the misinformation/misrepresentation has continued to worsen since last fall to right now. Despite the claims of RFK Jr. and others, in the current administration, autism can't simply be cured. That's eugenics. Autism is a neurological difference that can only be managed by medication and varied types of support that are determined by the needs of the individual. In June 2025, I presented the hazard of the National Autism Registry proposal and what was at risk. I warned of the historically dangerous similarities between present day and World War II Germany. After my speech last year, I met with a fellow advocate and concerned citizen and set to work on planning a cable access program for Hudson Community TV. That was the beginning stages of now the 8-part series of A Known Word, which is a cable access program centered around autism awareness, advocacy, understanding, as well as the discussion of the New Hampshire legislative session and discussion about it. In October of last year, again, I went back to Concord to speak about the misrepresentation and misinformation surrounding the autism community. Led by the current administration's DHHS, while reminding the audience of the dangers and the risk of an autism registry. At the end of the speech given in October last year, I suggested calls to action that both the United States Congress and the New Hampshire legislature could take to prevent a repeat of history. Since I have addressed you last fall, the situation has been worsening in ways that are not getting enough or any attention. RFK Jr. and the current administration are straight up systematically manipulating the system to suit their beliefs. First, and we alluded to this in part number 1 briefly, last November, U.S. Centers for Disease Control changed their autism and vaccines page to align with DHHS Secretary Kennedy's anti-vaccine beliefs that autism can be caused by vaccines. That's propaganda. The fact and applicable studies that state vaccines as a variable are statistically insignificant. More importantly, this change directly reflects the administration's propaganda, and it defies the previously established science. Second, in recent months, there has been an increase in the number of states where Medicaid recipients who are autistic are seeing their benefits for support are being cut. The states where these cuts are particularly evident include Nebraska, Indiana, North Carolina, and Florida. Additionally, the benefits of our friends, family, and neighbors in the autism community, not just here in New Hampshire, but also the neighbors to our east in Maine, are facing significant challenge, especially now. In New Hampshire, the autistic community is on the verge of having the state autism council being repealed by our legislature. Access to valuable information and resources could be lost if these efforts succeed. In Maine, the autistic community is facing benefit cuts as well as scrutiny of MaineCare, which is Maine's state-level Medicaid provider, from the Center for Medicaid Services for, air quote, benefit overpayment fraud in reference to therapies to manage autism. We should not be excluding our friends and neighbors like this. There is a small amount of good news that I have to offer in this rebuttal to the Trump administration's dangerous misconception, misinformation about Tylenol use in pregnancy and autism. In a study published earlier this year in The Lancet, a group of European researchers studied the effects of paracetamol, which is the international generic name of what we know as acetaminophen, aka Tylenol, when taken during pregnancy. In this study, the researchers were able to reaffirm previously accepted science that paracetamol usage and autism are not linked. This finding directly contradicts the propaganda of RFK Jr. and Trump administration officials. In closing, studies like this one, which I have highlighted, are what we need to be focused upon. No one on the autism spectrum should be fearful of being attacked while living their lives. We should be uplifting, welcoming, and striving for inclusion and acceptance of all underrepresented demographics and communities. Now we've got members of the Of a Known Word extended family so far: Alejandro Ureta, myself, Ian Hound, Dr. Louis Espeto, Able New Hampshire Executive Director, who's a good friend of the program, and he's been kind enough to join me in parts 2 and 7 so far. Advocacy and Policy Director at Able New Hampshire, Kristen Evans, who appeared in part 3. State Representatives Lily Foss and Heath Howard, who appeared in parts 2 and 3 respectively. Shauna Hallberg, who appeared in part number 4. Sarah Chizinski, who appeared in part number 6. And also I want to give additional credit to the team that makes this possible and makes me look so professional on now 9 installments of a Known Word. And that's Matt Guerrero, Production Coordinator, Mike Johnson, Director of Community Media, Mike Pylon, also a Production Coordinator here. And just before we close out this afternoon, I had an opportunity to meet with Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander, who represents New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District, and we get to discuss data privacy and the disabled community, and Fulham's overall fundamental disability rights protections last Friday afternoon in Concord, New Hampshire, at the New Hampshire Council on Developmental Disability office. In on this meeting, the gentleman in the dark blue is Chase Eagleson, Policy Director for the New Hampshire Council on Developmental Disabilities. Myself, Ian Hound, host and co-producer of a Known Word on YouTube and here on HGTV. U.S. Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander, Shauna Hallberg, who joined me in part number 4 of a Known Word, and a member of the New Hampshire Council on Developmental Disabilities. And he'll never let me live this down. It's Dr. Louis Espeto, Executive Director of Able New Hampshire. And finally, stay tuned for part number 10. My goodness, where's the time gone? Part number 10. That'll be coming up in another couple weeks at the beginning of May. So stay tuned for that. And truly, I look around us every day and I look at what is going on around us both nationally and at the state level. And yes, some of y'all are saying it's a complete dumpster fire. Believe me, I know. I have heard from both like-minded allies, fellow advocates, friends of mine from high school. We're all highly apprehensive to downright scared of what's going on right now. I look at that, and that is why I continue to produce this show here at HCTV. It is to make sure I am doing everything I can to bring attention and offer a reaction to everything that's going on with the autism community or has been going on with the autism community. Again, thanks for watching us for part number 9. Check us out online. We've got longer form updates on Substack with the QR code noted here. Blue Sky, similar to Facebook, that'll be your quick update, show update, quick announcement on what the state legislature's up to. Then we have Facebook, again, quick show update, legislative update, trying to get more behind the curtain stuff going on that. Check out our going to be all 9 installments of Just of a Known Word on HGTV's website, and that'll be just the show installments themselves. And then we have Of a Known Word YouTube, and that will be not just what we do here at HGTV, but trying to work it out so we have more on the road, behind the curtain, more of an interactive type vibe going here. Let y'all see what we actually get up to in between shows, if you would.